You are welcome to another episode of the School on the Hair. In the last episode, we looked at arithmetic of finance, and the aspect we actually looked at was simple interests. I told you that I gave you the formula for interest, simple interest. I told you that interest is equal to principal times rate times time all over 100. That's if you have to get the interest on a particular amount. Now, if you have to get the principal on a particular amount, you are given the interest. The formula is 100 multiplied by interest all over rate times time. In other words, if you are also asked to get the rates and you are given the time, you are given the principal, you are given the interest, the rate is equal to 100 multiplied by interest all over principal times time. Why, if you are asked to calculate time, given rates, given principal and the interest, time is equal to 100 multiplied by interest all over principal times rates. That's how to get time. And I also make mention of something on amount, that amount is equal to principal plus interest. And I gave you several examples on that, and we try to solve those examples together. Today we are looking at another aspect of the arithmetic of finance. This time around we are looking at compound interests. Compound interests. So as it's written on the board, you have compound interest is equal to amount minus principal. That is, amount is equal to, if compound interest is equal to amount minus principal, amount itself is compound interest plus principal. Or you apply the formula. There is a formula for compound for amount. The amount is equal to principal into bracket 1 plus rate over 100 all over raised to power n. And where P is representing the principal, A for amount, R for rate, and N for number of years. So principal is equal to amount minus compound interest. So let's see the examples on this. Let's look at the examples on this. We are asked to calculate the compound interest on 71,000 naira, 71,345 naira in 4 years at 2.5%. At 2.5%, we have to get the compound interest. I told you that compound interest is an accumulated interest. So you want to get the accumulated interest at the end of 4 years at that rate, 2.5%. So what will be the compound interest? Let's see. So the principal given to us in the question is 71,345 naira. And the time we are given is 4 years, and the rate is 2.5%. So this is a formula. Amount. The first thing I told you, when you are calculating anything, especially in mathematics, you first write out the formula. So the first thing is the formula. The formula here is amount is equal to P into bracket 1 plus R over 100 raised to power n. And we know that we already know the principal, which is 71,345 naira. Then 1 plus the rates, which is 2.5%. Then you have amount is equal to 71,345 naira into bracket 1.025 raised to power 4, because the number of years in this case is 4 years. So that's why you have raised to power 4 there. So you have 71,345 naira multiplied by 1 point. When you multiply 1.025 4 times, you have 1.1038129. When you multiply that one by 71,345 naira, you have 78,751 naira 531 kobo. Then, if you approximate to 2 decimal places, so you have 78,751,053 kobo to 2 decimal places. So that is the amount. So now we want to get the compound interest. So the compound interest will be amount minus principal. We've gotten the amount to be 78,751 naira 53 kobo. So this is what you have written here. Then the principal is already given 71,245 naira. Then if you subtract the two, find the difference between the two, you discover that the compound interest in this case will be 7,406 naira 53 kobo. 7,406 naira 52 kobo. That's our compound interest for that period of time, 4 years. The person is going to get a compound interest of 7,406 naira 53 kobo at the end of the 4th year. So let's see another example here. We are looking at example 2. In example 2, we are asked to calculate the interest paid on a fixed deposit of 80,000 naira, which is invested for a period of 3 years at 10% interest per annum. So in this case, we are asked to calculate the interest. And on this is a fixed deposit. No, those that they will save money in the bank, they have different type of accounts. There's what we call the fixed deposit. In this case, this person has 80,000 is fixed deposit account, and he left it there for the period of 3 years. So what will be his interest at the end of the 3 years at 10% interest rate? What will be his accumulated interest at the end of 3 years? Let's see how we go about it. So the amount he saved is 80,000. That's his principal. The principal is equal to 80,000 naira, and the rate is 10%. The number of years is 3 years. So don't forget, I told you in calculating amount or anything in mathematics, you first write out the formula. So this is the formula for the amount. Amount is equal to principal into bracket 1 plus r over 100 raised to power n. So the principal is 80,000 naira. Then 1 plus the rate is 10 over 100 raised to power 3. So you have 80,000 into bracket 1 plus 0.1, because 100 divided by 10 divided by 100 gives you 0.1. So that's why you have 0.1 there raised to power 3. Then you have 80,000 into brackets 1.1, because 1 plus 0.1 gives you 1.1, then raised to power 3. So the next thing is we have when you multiply 1.1 in 3 times, you have 1.331. So you have the principal to be 80,000 already. So you have 80 multiplied by 1.331. Then that will give us 106,480 naira. So that's it. That's the amount. So compound interest, don't forget, compound interest is equal to amount minus principal. That's what compound interest is. So we got the amount to be 106,480 naira. Then the principal is 80,000. So the compound interest will be 26,000. When you find the difference between two, you have 26,480 naira as the compound interest. That will be his accumulated interest for the period of 3 years. If the money is kept in a fixed deposit at that rate of interest, which is 10%. So the amount left the interest we accrue to at the end of 3 years is 26,480 naira. That's as simple as ABC. So the next example is we have to calculate the compound interest on 12,500 naira for 3 years at 4% per annum. So what will be the accumulated interest on 12,000 naira for the period of 3 years at 4% per annum? That's what the question is requesting us to do. So let's see how we go about it. So you have the principal 112,500, and the time is 3 years. The rate is 4%. So amount will be equal to 112,000 naira, 500 naira. Sorry, 112,500 naira, and into 1 plus 4, because the rate is 4%. So we have 4 over 100 raised power 3. So you have the principal to be 112,500 into brackets 1 plus 0. Because 4 divided by 100 gives you 0.04 raised to power 3. Then you have 112,500 into 1 plus 0.04 gives you 1.04 raised to power 3. So you have 112,500 multiplied by, when you multiply that one 3 times, so you have 1.124864. So multiply by the principal. So if you multiply by the principal, you have amount is equal to 126,547 naira 20 kobo as a result. That's what the result you're going to get by the time you multiply that. So, and don't forget that we said the compound interest is equal to amount minus principal. So we've gotten the amount, we have the principal. So if you subtract you take the amount, the principal from the amount, you get the compound interest. So the amount is 126,547 naira 20 kobo minus the principal, which is 112,500. Then you arrive at 14,047 naira 20 kobo. You arrive at 14,047 naira 20 kobo as a result. That will be the compound interest at the end of the third year. That will be the compound interest on that amount, on the principal, which is 112,500. The compound interest, not just interest now. The compound interest will be 14,047 naira 20 kobo. That will be the amount at the end of 3 years. In summary, we have looked at compound interest. We have looked at compound. I told you the compound interest is equal to amount minus principal, and then amount is equal to compound interest plus principal. Or you apply the formula for the amount, which is P to bracket 1 plus R over 100 raised to power n. Y principal is equal to amount minus compound interest. So I also said that I gave you examples on this to calculate the compound interest on 71,345 naira in 4 years at 2.5% per annum. And we went through it. We inserted the values into the formula. We entered the values and inserted it into the formula of for the amount. So you discovered that the formula is P bracket 1 plus 1 over R over 100 h per n. So the principal is 71,345 naira into bracket 1 plus 5 over 100 h power 4. So you have the amount is equal to 71,345 naira into bracket 1.025 raised to power 4. When you multiply that by 4, I told you that you will get 1.1038129, and that when you multiply by 71,345, you have 78,751 naira 531 kobo. When you approximate to 2 decimal places, I told you you have 78,571,053 kobo to 2 decimal places. And I also told you that to get the compound interest, you have compound interest is called amount minus principal, and that the amount is we've gotten the amount to be 78,751 naira 53 kobo minus the principal 71,745 naira. Then the end result, your compound interest at the end of the 4 years will be 7,406 naira 53 kobo. So we also took you to the second example, which says we have to calculate the interest on the fixed deposits of 80,000 naira, which is invested for a period of 3 years at 10% per annum. So we went through the example. I calculating the compound interest that the 8,000 we amount to at the end of the third year. We slot in the values. So we have 80,000 into bracket 1 plus 10 over 100 h per 3. I told you when you simplify that, you have 80,000 into bracket 1 plus 0.1 h per 3. 80,000 into bracket 1 plus that to give you 1.1 h per 3. When you simplify that, you get 80,000 multiplied by 1.331, which is 106,480 naira. So that's when you get the compound interest amount minus principal, you have 106,480 naira minus 80,000 gives you 26,480 naira at the end of the day. That means that 80,000 we amount to that amount. We went through the third example, compound interest on that. I explained how we got we slotting all the necessary values to get into the formula. We also write out the formula, it's only the values. So we have at the end of this we have 112,500 naira multiplied by 1.04 we multiply 1.04 in 3 times, so we have 1.124864. So at the end of the day we got the amount to be 126,547 naira 20 kobo. And to get the compound interest, we said principal amount minus principal, so we have 14,000 at the end of the day. So these are the questions you have to answer to attempt. What is the amount of 650,000 in 3 years at 6% per annum compound interest? The second one is find the compound interest on the following. If interest is paid half yearly, 185,000 for 2 years at 3% half year, 345,600 for 3 years at 4% per half year. So we've come to the end of this lesson. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. Send your answers to the number you see on the screen. I hope to meet with you in the next episode. Have a very nice day.